Hello, everybody. We are here with our good friend Anthony from Bleacher Bums Gaming, the creator of Glory Days Boxing. Anthony, thank you for joining us. Anthony, and we. There we go. There we go. Sound check is good. Sound check is good. We're here again with Anthony from Bleacher Bums Gaming. I provided a link to Anthony's channel on the page and in the chat, and also he's the creator of my favorite boxing game. I play a lot of boxing games, but my favorite is Glory Days Boxing. Pure fun. It's smooth, has the rhythm. All the games I play are good, but this one flows. That's the word I was looking for, flows. And the link, you can purchase Glory Days Boxing at Sideline Strategy Games. Link is provided in the chat and on the page below. Anthony, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, and pleasure as always to join you tonight. Hope you've been well as well.
Well,
and not too cold back there.
And Nurse Teresa's with us. Say hello, Nurse Teresa.
Hello,
you got to lean in. You got to lean in this way.
Yeah, I got to lean in this way.
All right.
Hello.
Well, that's her head anyway. She's going to be monitoring the chat from over here. So, yeah, it's rainy season. So at least it's not snow. And the Patriots were winning last we were watching, so that's always good news. But
and as you can see here, it's still sunny season. So
God bless you guys. I'm happy. I live vicariously through Anthony in where he's located. I'm very excited about this middleweight set coming up. And you showcase, please, everyone go check it out. Anthony had a bout on. I put one bout on. He was kind enough to let me have some fighters. I'm going to be putting, well, I'll just wait now for the set's going to be coming out soon. Anthony will tell you more about that, the middleweight set for Glory Days Boxing. But go to Anthony's channel. He showcased Jake LaMotta and Marvin Hagler. Very good fight on his channel. That's Bleacher Bums Gaming. Go to the link. It's his last thing I believe he's put up. So, Anthony, let's get right back to you. Again, excited about the channel, I'm always excited about your channel, about the middleweight set being released, and that's coming up this week.
Yeah, right now they went to the printers Friday, and he estimates, or he told me, he guaranteed he would have them back Wednesday if I got them to him by Friday, end of business. So
awesome.
Hopefully they'll be ready to go on link up for sale on the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Black Friday.
Yeah, Black Friday.
Awesome.
And I have to talk to Joe, but we'll see if we can make a little Black Friday deal. I think about maybe. I
have to be honest with you. Your pricing is a deal already. Not because you're my friend. Your pricing is a deal. I try to showcase when I do it on my channel. Like if someone honey, can you give me the cards for a second? Just one set of cards. This top one. That's fine. Yeah, thank you. These cards are absolutely marvelous. Listen. You could kill a small animal with these things. This is how beautiful these cards are. And you're not going to go wrong by purchasing the cards. But if for some reason you can't, the PDFs are beautiful too. You can play them on I'm working on a spreadsheet for you, Anthony. It's pretty much done. I want to get one of my friends over to see if he can actually put some formulas in to maybe we can manipulate it. I couldn't get that to work right. He's a little better at that stuff. But if not, there's a little spreadsheet that someone could just use. It's like a scoring spreadsheet. Your game's so much fun. It's just unbelievable how much fun it is.
And I appreciate that. And yeah, I'd be happy to send that to Joe to put up in the resources on the Sideline Strategy channel. That'd be awesome. Yeah,
it's just something that you quickly cut and paste if you have the PDFs up there, and there's formulas to keep track of punches landed and things like that. But anyway, that I really did enjoy the Hagler LaMotta fight. It was very interesting and fun. And I didn't put it in the comment because I thought about it afterwards. I like what you did with the judging, where you did it like someone's watching or listening to a boxing match, for an actual boxing match, where I'm not going to tell you the scores. You go, I'm just going to write it down. And I liked that. That was really fun.
And that came actually from our friend, I believe it was ID Jester, that said,
"Oh, cool."
To keep that, because I in the previous telecasts I would always indicate the scores I went along, and I'm like, that makes sense. Just do it at the end of the round or end of the fight, and especially in a close fight like that, I was actually pleasantly surprised. at how competitive that fight was. I thought it would be, but glad it turned out that way because I hadn't tested those two against each other.
Now we're not going to give away that fight because it was a lot of fun to watch. Let me just tell you, check it out on Anthony's site. It's a great game, and if you're a boxing fan, to me it's a must purchase. We're gonna talk about the middleweight set. So many great middleweight fighters, and my question is, how many are going to be in a set? And then, how did you make the cut? Because there's so many good middleweights.
That was the toughest part, and there's going to be 100. The standard 100 will be in the set that's released, and a list is actually up now. If you have Facebook, it's on the Glory Days Boxing the group Facebook page, and I also sent it to Joe Bryan to put up on Sideline Strategy. But it was tough. The middleweights will be a division like the heavyweights that actually is going to warrant a second set of 100 fighters, I think, down the road, because in picking that with the heavyweights, I was able to work in some name fighters that people knew that maybe weren't the most skilled, because you think about the heavyweight division, I really think there was more of a disparity gap in talent, throughout history between the top level fighters at any specific point in time versus some of the contenders. And a lot of those guys, the contenders that weren't quite up to that, they really got publicity just for the fact that the heavyweight's the glamour division.
Right.
And, middleweight's probably second to that extent. But with the middleweights, the name fighters, the name fighters that people know, that most people would know, really are all top level fighters. So there weren't a lot of mid-level guys that are going to be in this set. It's going to be very competitive.
Yeah. So, and again, before we, if you want to tell us or not, like who made the, like someone is going to be in the second set or just missed the first set. We watched a lot of boxing. You're a big boxing fan. A lot of fights that were on free TV were middleweight and lightweight fights. Yeah. You saw a lot of quality middleweights. Again, I'm a big fan of Frank the Animal Fletcher. He was always fun to watch on TV. You had Curtis Parks, I believe his name was. You had Curtis a lot of Parker. That's it. Thank you. And you just had Wilfred Scipio. There's a lot of fighters that were on TV, whether the ABC, NBC, CBS, but also when they had the independent channels started to come out and they had to fill their time. So you got boxing on Friday night from upstate Buffalo, New York, and things like that. But there are so many good middleweights that they're gonna, like you said, you're gonna have a lot of fun competitive fights with that set.
And I think really the halcyon days of the middleweight division started in the 50s and to me ran all the way up through the 80s. And the three fighters you mentioned, Curtis Parker did not make the cut for this release, so he'll be in the second 100. But Wilfred Scipio and Frank the Animal are both in the set, as well as some other notables from the 80s. Vito Antuofermo, obviously, Tony Simpson, Alan Minter. So, and obviously Marvin Hagler's going to be in there. So, a lot of great fighters from that time period. Mustafa Hamsho, who's
tough fighter.
Tough guy. Didn't hit very hard, but was trouble. And really, Hagler stopped him on cuts. It wasn't that he just
second time around at Madison Square Garden. He cut him up. He knocked him down, but he cut him up pretty bad because Hamsho went. No, he stopped him on cuts both times, I think.
Yeah.
But the other one went like 11 or 12 rounds. And Hamsho in the first fight, what I remember was he kept sticking his tongue out at Hagler, and Hagler kept hitting him. And the announcers are going, he's going to bite his tongue off because he's bleeding. He'd get hit, and he'd be like.
I remember from that fight, they asked him why he was doing that. And his reply was, people say I have a nice smile, so I like to smile and do that a lot.
Yeah.
But great fights back then. And also the two of the people who beat Marvin Hagler, Bobby Boogaloo Watts and Willie Monroe are in the set as well.
Out of Philadelphia, both of them, I think.
Yeah, tough
Philly fighters.
Stereotypical tough Philly fighters. Absolutely correct.
Benny Briscoe. Is he in the set? Did he make it?
Benny Briscoe is in the set, yes.
Oh, excellent. Cool. So Again, if you haven't checked out Glory Days Boxing, you can see it on Anthony from Bleacher Bums Gaming's YouTube channel, and I provided a link on the page and in the chat. He's put up a fight between Jake LaMotta and Marvin Hagler, 10 rounds. Excellent fight, and as always, Anthony does a wonderful call with his Glory Days Boxing.
And I think we're going to throw up a second fight, too, with Stanley Ketchel against The Rock, Graziano.
That was, I would favor Ketchel in that one, but it's going to be interesting, I think, just because Ketchel's a great fighter. People don't realize how the story you told. I did not know that. I can't remember the fighter, but you had said they were like sort of knew each other, and he gave the guy a shot, and the guy non-title fight, which they did a lot back then, 10 rounds, and he gave him a crack at it, and he hit him right when the fight, like when they're supposed to touch gloves. Would you like to tell that story again?
Yeah, Billy Papke. They had Papke was actually a very tough fighter in his own right, known as the Illinois Thunderbolt, and he engaged Ketchel in a 10-round non-title fight, which Ketchel took by decision, and he gave a good enough accounting of himself that they had a rematch for the title. And in that, after the introductions, they came out to start the fight. Ketchel extended his glove, and Papke gave him a cheap shot to the temple, which not only stunned him, but also he got a thumb in his eye, and his vision was impaired. So basically, that was a beating that Papke administered on him, because Ketchel never really regained his senses fully, couldn't see out of one eye, and that led to Papke stopping him, taking the belt, and they had a rematch, another 20-round scheduled fight for the title. And during that fight, Ketchel came out much more focused and actually probably could have put Papke out of there within 5 or 6 rounds. And
want to punish him.
As he hurt him, he held him up to continue to punish him, and finally stopped him in the 12th. And then the fourth fight, which is actually on YouTube, you can watch that.
Isn't it incredible that you can see some of these great fights from way back when?
It really is. And sadly, the 2 fights they have of Stanley Ketchel don't really reflect how great a fighter he was, because in that fight with Papke, their 4th meeting, it went 20 rounds. Ketchel won a decision, and you can see that Papke really wasn't interested in engaging him in toe-to-toe exchanges. A lot of wrestling, a lot of clinching during that fight, and then obviously the fight he's probably most famous for to Jack a lot Johnson. Of modern-day fight fans is when he took on Jack Johnson. And
the famous wiping the teeth off his gloves. I'll let you tell about that, because but before we go first, I forgot to do this. I'd like to say hello to, we have some people in the chat, so I'd like to say hello to Phillip Reynolds. How you doing? Thank you for coming and joining us. And our good friend Phanomatic, Will Voggs, thank you. And again, OG. And Thad Boy. And Thad Boy says Hagler was one of the greatest of all time, best switcher of all. Yeah, lefty to right. You're correct.
He absolutely was. He did that transition so seamlessly too. It was natural both ways. Definitely, probably one of the best ambidextrous fighters, I think, in history. Period.
Yeah, and seamless is, you couldn't even tell sometimes. He'd do it so smoothly. And we have Amish Elvis. Thank you very much. And he says, "Good evening, Al. The voice of glory, and Anthony, the game inventor extraordinaire." Absolutely. And Glory Days Boxing can be purchased on Sideline Strategy Games. Sorry. The reason why I tell you this is because it's a great game. It's, if you're a boxing, listen, Title Bout 2, fun. I actually did purchase the PC version, fun game. I have the Title Bout Championship Boxing, fun game. Glory Days Boxing, right there, and in my eyes, a little above it. It flow. All those games flow. This one flows. You don't. What I like about Glory Days Boxing, Anthony, and all those the other games are good with the boxing. Don't get me wrong. I keep going back to the flow. I'm a dice guy, card and dice guy. I don't want too many charts. Honey, can you give me? Yep, thank you. These are your chart. This is your game board. Has some charts on here, okay? And very, again, excellent quality. And then he has the special events chart, and that's it. And everything else comes off the cards. It's beautiful. Thank you.
And that really was a focus of mine. I like to keep everything condensed, and And Elvis, appreciate the comments too. Thank you. I like to keep everything condensed and make it as easy as possible to get results and not get bogged down in charts. That's what I look for really in any game I play. So that was kind of my intent as I worked on Glory Days Boxing as well.
Yeah,
Make it easy and fun were the two main goals.
Yeah, and boxing's probably that's a difficult. To rate fighters, they don't have stats like football players, skilled position football players, baseball players, basketball players, hockey players. It's the eye test, the record, but then who did they fight? And Anthony's done a tremendous. I have one middleweight fight up because Anthony was kind enough to let me test some boxers. I put one up using the Excel spreadsheet that we're working with. Canelo Alvarez and Vito Interfermo. If you want to check it out, check it out. But the fight went basically the way I thought it was going to go. I did 2 with Triple G, and I sent you, my email comments back to you, Anthony. Nothing out of the order. They're just well done. And now, what's great about when you're playing a card and dice, anything can happen. You roll those lucky dice. And again, check out Hagler and LaMotta on Anthony's channel. I'm not going to get into it because
that's a good example of that.
But I don't want to because I'm listening. I'm like, I was getting ready in the morning to do some stuff, and I had it on because I listen a lot. You know what I mean? With a lot of the YouTubers I follow, I listen. And I'm like, wow, because when you kept going, I can't believe it's the roll of the dice gods and stuff. Well, Johan, that's cool. Johan likes the game, but he likes, he likes other games too, a little bit. That's fine. That's
and props to both Jim Trunzo and Legends of Boxing I don't have Legends of Boxing.
I've never played that one, so I can't say. I've watched our good friend I Am Spartacus plays a lot of that.
And that game's very well done, and it's that's what's kind of cool though, that Title Bout 2 Legends. And I started designing this because there really hadn't been any boxing games that had come out in quite some time.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Anthony. I only knew of one. I used to play the old, which I still have. Right? Remember I showed you Nurse Teresa's over. She's monitoring stuff to the left of me. I have it downstairs still. I really did enjoy. So I didn't know about the other ones, but again, to me, Glory Days Boxing, I like that everything's on the card. It flows. The results to me are fun. Fairly accurate. I do a lot of stuff like most people when you're playing that they obviously didn't, if you take fighters from different eras, they didn't really fight. So in my head, is this a realistic, and then anything can happen. So I like the game a lot. So, but yeah, it's all right. If I just, like I said, I play other games too. I enjoy them all. You take what you want from each. I just enjoy the flow of it.
Oh yeah. And I've had a great relationship with Jim over the years. We've communicated back and forth, and, he's really the reason I used to play Title Bout back in the late 70s until 2, 3 in the morning, sometimes after work with one of my buddies, which, kept us from getting into other mischief, which is probably good.
Probably a good thing.
Just a fun game to play. And it still is. I mean, it's the grandfather of boxing board games, and deserves that title completely. So
for someone who might be new regarding Glory Days Boxing, the effort that's got to be put in to try to rate a boxer, to me offhand, because I did for ha-ha's sake, because there's a couple of fighters that that weren't made. I just wanted to try to see how would I rate these guys. You have to go again. Record, knockouts, punches landed. You can find that. It's more difficult to find. And sometimes there's a lot of stuff on YouTube you can watch, so we're lucky that way. But I would you say who did they fight? Because sometimes, as you know, Anthony, if you and I were managing a pugilist, whatever, had some skill, we could probably put together 20 fights for that pugilist that he might win 18, 20 out of. Where we could bring it up a certain way where, okay, now we get a couple of named opponents and this and that. So you have to, was that the most difficult thing? Like to really, like for a fighter who had a good record, but maybe he didn't fight the best quality of opposition. I would think that would be the most interesting way, a tougher thing to rate.
It really is. And that's, obviously spent a lot of time watching YouTube and a lot of time on BoxRec, and it's just comparing across eras. There's fighters currently, and I tend to be a little harder on some of the current fighters, especially those who haven't really faced top-level competition. It might be 40-0, and there's actually one fighter in this set that he just hasn't really fought. Most of his fights have been in Mexico. And so he hasn't really fought the upper echelon guys on a consistent basis. So you have to downgrade. And I initially did that with a heavyweight set with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. As when they were initially rated, obviously they hadn't fought each other, and neither one had really been tested too much. But I was able to re-rate them on the strength of their first meeting, and they both got bumped up a little bit based on that, where Anthony Joshua was in that same boat. He kind of stayed the same after his
I noticed that. I was wondering if you're going to, but I have another question regarding about if a fighter cards are going to get updated, because that's another difficult thing. But before we do that, there's a couple of things in the chat maybe you'd like to. Thadboy26, Roberto Duran is one of the most skilled boxers ever. His power was good, but his overall skill, defense, stamina, longevity, one of the greatest. Oh, absolutely, one of the greatest ever. What are your thoughts on one of my favorite fighters, Roberto Duran?
I totally agree with that. And a lot of that, even, it wasn't even that his defense was what I would call elite, but his offense was so potent that fighters would be tentative against him. They wouldn't want to open themselves up to getting
now we'll talk about the middleweight sets, right? So does Roberto Duran have a card?
He does not. He'd be one that would be in the second
set, which I understand, because that was. But just to give you a fight where his knowledge and how well he could play, he was probably. I'm not going to say he got in Marvin Hagler's head, but he got Marvin Hagler's respect right away, because Hagler really never jumped on him in that fight, and he really boxed well, Duran, in that fight with his. And it's not like he bounced around and moved. It's just these slick little cute things he did because he was such a good boxer in that fight.
He's very subtle, and that's just something that comes, one, from skill, anticipation, and time in the ring. And you're right, just slightly, moving to not take the full impact. The only time my memory that I ever really saw Duran get caught cold was when he fought Tommy Hearns.
Tommy Hearns, he wrecked him. Tommy Hearns wrecked him like Tommy Hearns wrecked Pepino Cuevas. That was brutal. And then we have we have Amish Elvis says, what I love about the game too is it makes you want to learn more about the boxers you know nothing about. I bought vintage boxing cards strictly because of this game. That is so cool. Anthony, you are teaching history, in my opinion. That's a great comment by Amish Elvis. No, really, because I think that's a great point. Not to get off subject of boxing, but a lot of you, like yourself and other YouTubers who like to do the dead ball stuff, I'd like to get you on to talk about, again, not to get off, we're going to get right back, the 1919 White Sox, because you and our good friend from Rhode Island, Ken Castro, enlightened me to things I didn't know, because I was just going off that movie and some things I read about that movie. And I would love to get you.
And again, not to go too far off, but you're right. The book 8 Men Out by Elliot Asanoff it really was almost a fictional work, a large percentage of it. It really was. So, and it unfairly Charles Comiskey, obviously owners of that time period, and that's been throughout sports history. They're in it to make money. So yeah, they're going to save money where they can.
I didn't mean to cut in. I just, because you're such a fascinating, intelligent human being. I love talking to you. I love listening to your stuff. And I was like, I hope we can talk about this stuff. And
I think it'd be fun to do a 1919 series breakdown, especially since it's been 100 years. So let's do that.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Glory Days boxing thing. Because you bring up a lot of interesting things when you do like the Stanley Ketchel and the Packy. Did I pronounce his name right? Papke. Sorry. The history. So when Amish Elvis says, it got him interested and he's going to look up some history on stuff. That's great. And I just want to say hello to our good friend Thrice Aroni, a card collecting treat. And again, ID gesture. He did IDs here. Why can't I click on this? There we go. Oh God. Why did I have difficulty doing that, Nurse Teresa?
I don't know.
Hello, ID. as he says, "Hey, you sexy guys." ID, get your eyes checked. Though we are sexy
Right.
guys. We are sexy guys. And girls over here. But the ID just did a great thing with Todd from Itinerary Hobbyist. I watched that for a while and listened. Yeah, I think it's really wonderful if someone picks up a game, and again, we're talking about Glory Days boxing, and you get interested in the history of it. Boxing has such a marvelous history. I think it carries forward unlike any other sport except maybe baseball, where people know certain numbers in boxing, like, or the fighters and things like that. My other question, so 100 fighters in the middleweight set. Is that correct, Anthony? 100 fighters? Okay.
Correct.
So now what can you just get, Sugar Ray Robinson, I know, is there. Hagler,
Probably to me, the elite, the top line in the middleweight set would be Charlie Burley, Harry Grab.
Charlie Burley, you should do a thing on him because Charlie Burley, out of California, was California middleweight state champion. I'm trying to make sure I say that. I don't think he ever got a crack at the title. I'm almost positive either that or he was I don't think he ever got a crack at the title. And he was a very, very good fighter, Charlie Burley.
A lot of skilled guys that, Hagler, obviously, we've talked about. Ketchel, and Ketchel is in that category. And a lot of people know his name, but he only fought till he was 24 when he was murdered. And
that's right.
We talked about that story too. That's some interesting stuff. But obviously, Carlos Monzon, you have to have Argentina for greatest. Sugar Ray, and Sugar Ray, he's really a special fighter. Obviously,
that's Sugar Ray Robinson.
Robinson, right?
Yeah, just in case some people think
him top tier at both welterweight and middleweight.
And here's the other. Sorry to interrupt. Here's the other thing with Sugar Ray Robinson. I've said this before on other people's boxing channels when I first started YouTube, and they were kind enough to let me on. In my opinion, you have to understand. I love Carmen Basilio. But when Sugar Ray Robinson fought anyone at middleweight, he's not, to me, technically in his prime anymore. His prime to me was, that's how great of a fighter he was, that he could beat, and he's still a great fighter at middleweight. I want to make sure I explain this right. I'm just saying this is how tremendous Sugar Ray Robinson was, that he is fighting just slightly past his prime, and he's beaten these top notch. Now he lost some and he won some, and he fought, but yeah, absolutely. Sugar Ray Robinson, nightmare for a lot of fighters.
So many great fighters back then, and Mickey Walker, the toy bulldog, as well.
And Mickey Walker fought at heavyweight at times.
He fought Jack Sharkey, who was a heavyweight world champion, and gave him what he wanted.
And I think he fought Max Schmeling too. I think he fought Max Schmeling. I'm not.
That was just common in his time and prior. Obviously, we know Ketchel fought Johnson, and it was funny in that fight they had when they took the pre-fight pictures, they put Ketchel in elevated shoes.
Yeah, and I think
also put like several layers of clothing on
to make him look bigger. Because I think he weighed in like 160.
He was under 160.
Oh, so and again, that is one of the most intriguing stories in boxing history. They had a wink, wink, nudge, nudge deal. We're gonna give the fans a decent fight, but we're gonna go 15 rounds. Johnson's gonna win the decision just because he's gonna carry him, and we're gonna fight a rematch, and we're gonna make money. Now, whether you agree or disagree, that's the way business was done then. Fans got what they wanted, and Stanley Ketchel decided, and they were friends, right? Did they know each other?
I wouldn't say they were necessarily friends, but they had a gentleman's agreement, and the initial agreement was the fight had to go at least 10 rounds in order to pique interest, and that's exactly what happened. Once it reached that point, Ketchel saw an opening and was able to floor Johnson.
Yeah,
and then Jack jumped right back up and knocked him cold with the very next punch he threw.
And the famous wiping of the glove. Let's see if I can get the. And he wipes the teeth. You can see that. Thank you. Go to YouTube. Watch it. He literally looks down, goes, "Wow, I got teeth in my glove," and he wiped them out. He knocked his teeth out. He knocked his teeth out.
And when Ketchel was murdered, The next fight in line for him was going to be that rematch. They started,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, I did
He'd
not know
gone
that.
that ranch he was murdered on. I
Yeah.
think it was R.P. Dickinson was the guy's name. He'd gone out there to kind of get his head straight and to train, and on sole purpose being to get ready for the second fight with Johnson. And that's when, and there's two different stories to his murder. One was that Walter Dipley was common law spouse with one of the girls that cooked there, Goldie Smith,
Yeah.
and he thought that she was kind of sweet on Ketchel and murdered him at breakfast based on that. And then she concocted the story that Ketchel had raped her and it was a revenge killing. And the other story was that
I,
they had
I don't
conspired
think
to rob him.
I think they like you said that was a concocted story because I don't think there was any. Well, we weren't there. We don't
No,
know.
that part was, but
Yeah.
it was whether it was a jealousy motivated killing
Right.
or if they were in cahoots to rob Ketchel and she didn't intend for him to get murdered. It just happened.
Yeah.
And I would kind of lean to the jealousy. They did rob him, but I would lean to the jealousy angle for this reason. After he shot Ketchel had a sidearm on him. He took his pistol out and smashed him in the face with it,
And
which
that,
if you're then
yep.
that would indicate to me anger, and that
Yep.
is
I
why
was
that
just
would make sense.
yes. I was. Thad Boy Boxing says. Last comment. No, you don't have to have last comments. We read comments. It's all right. Last comment. Sugar Ray Leonard would have destroyed Mayweather Jr. Sugar Ray's most underrated skill was his heart and killer instinct. That would be. Let me click on this so we can see Anthony again. That we'll touch base real quick on that. That's Mayweather Jr. is a very skilled fighter. The one thing I can say, he fought a lot of tough fight. He didn't really. I don't recall him ducking anybody. He fought. The only person you could say he sort of ducked for a while was Pacquiao, but that was more of a let's let him get a little older and I'll get him then.
No, that was very calculated. You're
Yeah,
right
that was because Mayweather Jr. is again, I'll use the term brilliant. He's a very good businessman. I don't, I'm not I argue with my friends about his promotion with McGregor. Listen, that was brilliant. He put it a month ahead of those other fights. And when those promoters got mad, he says, you worry about your promotion. I'll worry about my promotion. And if your promotion's good, people will buy it. And
and think about that. He really didn't train that much for McGregor.
No,
he really didn't.
I'll tell you, and again, we'll get back to that question, but just because that in that fight, he walked McGregor down. He became the attacker in a way. That's not the word I wanted to use.
The aggressor.
The aggressor, the predator. And it was just beautiful. And I'm not the biggest Mayweather Jr. fan. Great fighter. But to watch him do something that he normally doesn't do, I don't care against who. That guy was bigger, hit pretty good. And just chop. My dad and I were watching that. My dad's like, he's chopping down it because that's the terminology. We were just looking at each other laughing. He's chopping down the tree. He's chopping down the tree. And it was a beautiful thing to watch. And the other thing, just to touch base on that fight, Conor McGregor's people in his corner gave him horrible advice. Go on the inside. You can't fight him on the inside. You don't know how to fight on the inside. Because he had hurt him in that first round. He caught him coming in. He hurt Mayweather. I was like, holy cow. And they gave him really bad. He should have stayed on the outside, worked. His one good punch was a jab, and he would come sort of with a straight right hand. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
And McGregor, for an MMA guy, is a top-level striker. But again,
that's MMA though.
Good as he is at that and his anticipation and countering, you're going against one of the best in boxing all time at that skill set.
And one last thing on that, we'll get back to the question with Sugar Ray Robinson and Mayweather and back to Glory Days boxing middleweights. Listen, I watched that fight. I was highly entertained by that fight card and that fight. I enjoyed it. To me, I'll tell you how much that fight captured the imagination of the public. My dad had not asked if we're going to watch. He would watch fights with me, but it had been a long time to say, hey, we're going to watch that fight, right? He asked me on that Friday because he was watching the press conferences. He would watch, like, I'm come home and like, what are you watching? Like he's watching highlights and he's just, when you get 30,000 people for a press conference, again, regardless of whatever, so that's how it captured the imagination of the public. Back to the question. What are your thoughts on Mayweather Jr. and Sugar Ray Leonard?
It's an interesting fight, actually. I think what made Sugar Ray Robinson so good is he could adapt and be better at the
Sugar Ray
style.
Leonard, Sugar Ray Leonard,
Hmm?
Sugar Ray Leonard.
Oh, Leonard.
Yeah, that I just put that. And then we can actually bring. So that was that was Thad Boy was talking about Sugar Ray Leonard, and maybe he just brought it up because he likes to talk boxing, and he must be excited I'm talking boxing again. So
That's still that's an interesting fight too. I don't. Here's the one catch to that fight. I think that Leonard would beat him. I don't think it would be a dominating fight. You remember against a very slick boxer, Hearns was never really given the kudos he deserved for his boxing.
Tremendous boxer, Tommy Hearns.
And in their first fight, he outboxed Leonard from the
Absolutely.
outside. And I could see Mayweather doing the same thing and giving Sugar Ray trouble. I think Sugar Ray's right there with him on speed. Defensively, they're both very sound. Sugar Ray Leonard, I think, hit harder. So I think it's a very even matchup, and I would see Leonard eking out a fairly close, 10, 15 round decision.
Yeah, I'm right with you there, Anthony. Excellent analysis, my friend.
I'm going to stay out there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, back to the middleweight set, because that's what we're here to talk about. What are some, again, Hagler and LaMotta on Anthony Bleacher Bums Gaming's channel. That's Anthony. And you can purchase the game at Sideline Strategy Games. Link provided in the chat and on the page. Great boxing game, card and dice. What are some of the fun matchups that you've in your head go, oh, I can't wait to do?
Any of the great slugger matchups. I think one that I haven't done yet, I didn't do during testing, that I'm going to do fairly early, is Harry Greb against Mickey Walker.
Ooh.
Two high volume fighters.
Yep.
Neither one of them with a super big punch, but there's going to be a lot of action.
And you made a great point on the Hagler LaMotta fight. The thing you're going to get with middleweights, I believe, and I agree with you, a lot more punches landed, more give and take action, because they're just a lot of the fighters. You might, even if they're not the ring generalship stars, even if one's a couple below or another fighter, they're going to be competitive fights from what I've seen.
And Hagler and LaMotta went toe to toe a lot in that fight.
And again, it's the luck of how you roll the dice, but that was so much fun. Check it out on his channel.
But other matchups, like if you want a technical matchup, I think you have to look at Carlos Monzon against a Mike Gibbons. Mike Gibbons is another very underrated, or not, I guess, underappreciated fighter that fought in the early part of the 20th century, the teens and 20s, etc.
Let's just say hello to our good friend Brad62. He says, hi, Mayweather could not box as well as Hearns for his lack of size and reach. Ray would put a whipping on him. That's what Brad62 says. That's what makes boxing so much fun to talk about. So.
And he does bring up a good point. Hearns had exceptional length for a welterweight. And what I think gives Leonard, or gives Mayweather, a chance to hang in there with Leonard is his anticipation. He's very good at subtle last minute movements. So again, catch him flush.
Right, because it's just this, that.
And I agree. Leonard beats him, but I think Mayweather would hang around, and it certainly wouldn't be a runaway. That's my opinion. But again, that's what makes boxing great.
It makes it fun to talk about. So I tell you the ones I'm looking forward to. What I'm going to play. Graziano, is Tommy Hearns make the first set?
He's not, because he's going to be in the first welterweight set.
Gotcha.
So him and Leonard will both have middleweight cards in the second
set. Oh, well, that's one of the ones I'm going to look forward to. But Graziano, Iran Barkley, because I think that's
Barkley's in the set.
Yep, I think that's a fun matchup. Graziano LaMotta, I've played that quite a bit. I've done one on my channel, and I've played that quite a bit. I've done two on my channel with different games, and I'm looking forward to that, because that's a fight that was signed but never took place due to injury. And I think Rocky Graziano, I'm biased, I'm a big fan of Rocky Graziano, the middleweight. I think he's slightly underrated when it comes to toughness, because he was a tough guy.
Yeah.
And I don't think Jake LaMotta was going to bully people. I've listened to like Teddy Atlas going, oh, he would just bully him around. I'm paraphrasing what Atlas said. I think his terminology was he would open him up like an Italian candy and chew him up and spit him out. I don't think that would happen. I just don't. He might beat him. He'd probably be favored to beat him, but I don't think he's pushing around. Right. So that's going to be another fun matchup. I think Hagler Monzon, the fight that never took place, is going to be a fun matchup. Monzon, Stanley Ketchel, all those great fighters. I haven't even mentioned Sugar Ray Robinson yet. Anyone in Sugar,
Well, and you have some savage hitters in the middleweight division too. Julian Jackson and Gerald McClellan.
Gerald McClellan could hit. Oh my God. Oh, is Nigel Benn going to be a middleweight?
He is in the middleweight set, yes. And another one with amazing or tremendous power.
Nigel Benn, one of my most favorite fights I remember watching on free TV. Nigel Benn, Michael Watson. There were two ranked middleweights, but I think it was for the British Commonwealth Middleweight Championship, I think, but it had more to it. It was just tremendous. And Michael Watson gave Nigel Benn his first loss. I always liked Michael Watson. Another one of these good English fighters, and he cute, but he could hit a bit. And he kind of did a rope-a-dope, but not to the extent of a Muhammad Ali. He just let him wear himself. He would touch him. Every time he come in, he'd touch him. And then you saw it. I think it was around the 6th round. You're like, I'm watching going, he's got him. Because my friends were watching. He's going, oh, Ben's going to kill him. I'm like, yeah, Ben's a big puncher. Which is, again, you have to understand, we're reading stuff in a boxing magazine. It was tough to see these, you'd see the highlights and stuff when they're promoting the fight. But there's no YouTube then. It's not like I could go see that. And, Michael Watson, tremendous fight. Did he make the set, Michael Watson?
He will not be in this set, no.
Okay. So
again, just so many good middleweights.
I couldn't do what you did. I'd be like, I love them all.
And we haven't even talked about guys like B Hop is in the middleweight set. And, that's an interesting matchup. The original, of course, Jack Dempsey, non-Pareil.
Yep.
John the Beast Mugabe Brad is in the set. Another tremendous puncher.
Big puncher.
His lack of stamina hurt him, but he was dangerous while he was fresh against anyone.
Here, Tony Zale in the set.
Tony Zale, the Man of Steel, is in the set.
Yep, that's another. There was a rumor when he had retired that he was going to come back and fight Sugar Ray Robinson, but they couldn't get the money right. He went into training and decided my shoulder. He had hurt his shoulder. Oh, what fight did he hurt his shoulder in? I can't. But he never. It never got back to where he wanted it. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. So, but Tony Zale, a great fighter. Charlie Burley is going to be another, you had mentioned him. It's going to be fun to fight him against a lot of those guys because he's just a tremendous fighter. I came across him 10 years ago when I was just, I saw his name. And I was like, who's this guy? Because someone had talked about Charlie Burley. And I started doing some research on him. And it's a tremendous fighter, never got a title shot. So
it really is. And that's, again, just so much talent in that division. And boxing's always been political, and probably even more so when people can control it behind the scenes more than they can now.
Yep.
But he's a dangerous fighter, and we haven't talked about guys like Tiger Flowers yet.
Another great fighter. Seferino Garcia.
He's in there.
Excellent. He held titles. He held 3 titles, I believe. No. I'm getting that mixed up. Sorry. Now I know where I'm going with that. The lightweight, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, Armstrong fought him for the middleweight championship and got hosed out of the decision. That's where I'm going with that. Because Henry Armstrong would have been the first. From what I've read, they said he won the fight. I've not seen any footage of it. But for everything I read, he got hosed out of the decision when he fought Seferino. I'm almost positive it was Seferino Garcia for the middleweight title. And it might have been one of those weird 10-rounder things, too, which it could have been.
Yeah, that was real inconsistent, the distance a lot of times. And Henry Armstrong is another fighter. He'll be in the second set, but he was so great at welterweight, too.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the challenge. I I look at where the fighters, not necessarily where they were most well known, but where they did their most impressive
Yeah.
work.
Oh,
for me.
definitely the lightweight set. Yeah.
You know, and that was a
Or
tough thing with
sorry, the
Robinson.
welterweight set. The welterweight set. Yeah. Sorry.
Robinson had that body of work at both welter and middle, so he's one of the few fighters that's going to be in the initial sets for
Dual
two
card.
divisions.
Yeah. And I can see that. I can see that. A quick question. How would because I've asked this before. When the sets are come out, like when welterweight comes out, you can fight them. You know, what if this guy stepped up, so on and so forth. Welterweight, middleweight. Are you going to come up with a formula, or to say if you wanted to do a hypothetical, like just to say, are you going to come up with a formula that you might put up on your Facebook page, or someone could just download the formula, you know, like off the game is strategy games? Are you going to come up with a formula for that?
Yeah, I have a couple of freebies that I plan to upload. You know, once I get a couple, 3 more sets out there,
right.
That's going to be one where you can bring fighters up. And I'm also playing with a career type module that you can use, where fighters, when they start, will have a little bit less skill. Then their card would be their prime. And then as they get into later stages of career, there'd be a deduction there as well. So those are 2 things that I'm going to add. I'd like to add as free add-ons to the game down the road.
Excellent. I just want to say hello to my good friend, Team Batman Boxing. He was like my first subscriber, Team Batman Boxing. Please check out his channel. He's always been with me. It's incredible. So the other interesting thing, and I got to check the video out again, but you know, it'd be fun if you did one on the strategy cards. I've not yet used the strategy cards. And my question to you, if I wanted to, and I think it's pretty basic, but I want to say play a weaker fighter, because that's the way I would want to use a strategy card for me to make it fun against technically like a stronger pugilist. How would my thought process? I'm just gonna again. You should only use you have 2 strategies, one that you can use for the fight. Is it the fight? One you use for the round, and one that you can use instant, like in the round.
Flash strategies, yeah.
Flash strategy, and you take one apiece, because then if you did more, it would skew the possibly the results. So my basic thought process is, like, if I was Dwayne Babak versus Joe Fraser or something, and let me be Dwayne Babak, obviously, because it's not going to be any fun being Joe Fraser in that fight. Would you? I mean, again, I wanted to make it so. I mean, I guess I could just use those strategies anytime I wanted once against the fighter. I guess that's the best way. Okay, then I just answered my own question. Then the next question, I'm sitting there thinking about Al. That's pretty stupid. Just use them when you want if you play. If you were going to do both fighters and you want to give them strategy cards, how would you do that? Like, would you just give it like an extra roll? Like, okay, he can use a strategy now, or would you just say he's using the strategy now? Because the strategy cards are intriguing to me. I just haven't used them yet.
Yeah, if I was like managing a fighter, and to answer Brad's question, Sibo is also in the middleweight set. Him and Alan Minter are both
Awesome.
in there. I would assign strategies. I just blind draw 2 strategies for each fighter. If I was managing a fighter, I would pick the 2 I'd want. And like in the case of Babak versus Fraser, I'd want something. There's a flash strategy that saves you on a knockdown, so I would definitely want that for Babak.
Yep.
And then probably I would see him losing that fight. Probably use the Hail Mary strategy, which gives him a segment where his power is increased tremendously in later in the fight.
Great stuff. Because I really think that would that's going to be a lot of fun for people. I want to put that up on the channel. I want to play some more games. I haven't really used them, and I want to just if I have any questions, I'll send them to you. But it's pretty straightforward. And again, I got to go back. I want to watch your video that you did on the strategies. I'm going to go back and watch that another time. But I like the strategy cards. I think it brings, again, I enjoy just rolling the dice and seeing the results. But just for a weaker fighter, I think to me, it'd be a lot of fun to see how, just for ha-has, to see how
it really is. And another thing is, I've gotten feedback from a couple of folks who bought the game that they'll play against like their brother.
Yeah.
So that's a definite place where you
Oh,
want strategies to come into
right. If
play.
you're playing against someone, that's a lot of fun. And again, that's another aspect we very rarely talk about because I'm playing it solo and enjoying it. You can play this game against other people. Again, you're picking a card, you're rolling for results. No different than say a baseball game. Now, and then with the strategy cards, you could do it any way you want because you're playing against someone. Anthony recommends only one of each strategy, but if you're playing against someone, what the heck? You could pick 3 strategies if you wanted. There's no limit. It's your game. Enjoy, have fun.
And that's one of the things. There's obviously a few optional rules in the game, but I wanted to make the game flexible because boxing, like we talked about when the game was first coming out, it's not a black and white sport like statistical like baseball.
Yeah.
It's objective, and I wanted the game to be flexible where if you wanted to apply certain house rules that weren't in the manual, you'd be able to do that and then still get realistic results and still have the game give you what you want in a game, which to me, again, is to be fairly simple to play and enjoyable.
And again, it is, to me, it's realistic. I've played enough of it. All your results, majority of your results are coming off a card. And Nurse Teresa is out there watching the rest of the football game. So I have to do this myself. And then you have this is the chart that comes, the board, we'll say, your scoreboard. Again, I apologize. And then again, there's some, you're going to get some results here that you might need for if there's a TKO. And then your magnificent, this is the event chart, which is really cool. So.
And that piece was actually the funnest for me to design because
chart, I remember there's some you had one today that I had. I've only had it once, but that's the most exciting. But you know what again, you had both fighters whammy each other with a gazillion punches.
Yeah, six punches each in total.
I had that before. Now, what I did with mine was I did power checks for both fighters. That's just the way I played it. Would you? Again, you can play it any way you want, but if I remember correctly, you just did 6 punches and you didn't give them power checks.
And reason for that in that case is that high volume of exchanges. I would see the fighters not really sitting down on their punches.
Gotcha.
They're just in there throwing hands.
That's why I wanted to remember to ask you because I did a power check with mine, and I had this crazy ending because both power checks. I'm like, wow, either guy could go down. But I think, I just was curious. And I like power checks. I do like, they sneeze, power check. They sneeze. But yeah.
Well, it's the same with counters too. I consider counters to be a defensive offensive result. So
because I asked you that question. I asked,
but some people do the power check, and that's cool too.
Yeah. So
because it's fun. I actually someone on the Sideline Strategy forum had uses the power check for counter shots too, and he had a knockout occur on a counter.
I've had it both ways. I might go back. I do kind of like that, just like someone getting caught coming in kind of deal. But great game, Anthony. Great. Thank you so much for creating this game. And whatever down the line you create, I'm there for you because I enjoy. I'm not going to talk too much about the baseball game, but I watch you play that. Psyched whenever you do that or whatever comes out next, and we'll touch base on that in a little bit. The middleweights. God, I'm trying to. So many. Simpson out of England. It's going to be a fun fight because he's going to be an action fighter. Did you give Alan Minter? Did he get a trait? And if so, was it he bleeds?
I believe he died. I'm almost like 98% sure he does have the bleeder trait. Yeah.
And it's funny because that's a tough one because if you are, there's my thought process on that because we talked about Vito Antuofermo and I was like, well, and again, I'm a bit biased. I like Vito. I was like, I give him the Mauler Brawler trait, and it was fun because he kind of switched that, or because I'm like, he's gonna bleed already, Anthony. You're really putting him behind the 8 ball.
It's funny designing this middleweight set. I came up with a couple of other traits. I'm like, damn it, I can't really throw these in at this stage of the game though.
Oh, really? What out of curiosity, if you didn't, I'm just curious, what were they like?
an example of one that came to mind was it was going to be called Relentless and
Ooh.
applicable to a guy like LaMotta, just a wade in
Yep.
and throw punches kind of guy, and that would have increased punch scoring output in toe-to-toe exchanges just for him. So a couple of things like that came up, but we have 3 sets designed, so I
Yeah, you
can't
can't. But it's
retroactively
no,
go
that's
back.
fun though. Like when you went back, that's an interesting. You know what? You kind of have that already, though. To be honest with you, Anthony, it's usually for both fighters, though. But that's your game's great, Anthony. It's so much fun. I can, if I'm not doing, again, if you've not seen one of my streams, they go kind of long because I enjoy the game. I'm talking about it, and I'll talk to you. But you can, if you're looking for speed, you can play the game quite fast and still enjoy it. You really can. You can play a 50. I've played 15 rounders. I have them on the channel too. They go a little longer, but if you playing without just enjoying it and rolling and just seeing the results, and if you're a boxing fan, to me, I can visualize everything, and it's just so much fun. One
And I
thing
like Brad's got a great question in
I
the
was just,
chat.
is this the one? Is this,
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was going to get to. And let me read it out and then I'll put it down because it cuts you. I hate that it cuts off. You can't see you now. One thing about Brad62 says, one thing about boxing, you can say yesterday's fighters were every bit as good, if not better than modern. You don't have today's players are bigger, faster, stronger. The only thing with that, great point, Brad, because I agree totally. There's 2 things, but again, we have to assume. One, the size of heavyweights are much bigger, most of them. But we have to assume some heavyweights would have been cruiserweights and probably might have stepped up to heavyweight. I'm going to give an example when it comes to like Joe Louis, 199, 195, maybe at the end of his career dabbled close. 199 is close to 200. Joe Louis to me would have been a heavyweight. He would have trained differently, and with the nutrition, the whole aspect of training, I believe Joe Louis could have got up to 215, maybe, like a 215, possibly 220. And that guy's Joe Louis, all-time great, one of my all-time favorite fighters. I say it over and over again, him, Rocky Marciano. Those are 2 of my favorite fighters of all time. I think he would have been a heavyweight. Marciano to me would have been a cruiserweight because the reason why he fought at heavyweight was he couldn't make light heavyweight. He couldn't drop the weight. And we're talking 183. He couldn't get down to 175 because he goes, I don't want to fight at that. It's too, because when he started off, they're like, oh, you're going to make your light. He goes, I can't, I don't feel good at that weight. So.
Oh, and Dempsey for sure would have been cruiserweight because he was already very thickly muscled as he was. But, you have other guys. Sharkey was a pretty good size guy. He could have been a legit heavyweight. Obviously, Carnera was a legit heavyweight. Max Bear probably the same, and to address what Brad brought up too is, past or present boxing, some of the techniques and skill sets have evolved, which is a good thing. But again, if you take fighters from the old days, to me the biggest thing that makes a boxer, you have to have some natural ability, speed, punching power, and reflexes, obviously.
Yep.
So those aren't going to be altered that much.
Nope.
You come with those. Training techniques obviously change quite a bit. So wherever you put fighters in a given era,
they're going to train
they're
that
going
way.
to have access to the same training
That's
techniques.
what I say.
Absolutely. And and then the other thing that you can't train is heart and toughness. Let's face it, because again, I boxed and it's not fun to get hit in the face. That's why I didn't keep doing it. I wasn't good enough to keep doing it and keep getting hit in the face. And so that takes a special breed in itself to just get in there knowing the guy across from you is going to take your head off.
Yeah. I'll say the other thing, and again, it's different because of monetary, the money they made in the fights. They fought a lot more than out of necessity.
And not necessarily a good thing.
No.
One of the obscure heavyweights, Joe Grimm, is boxing. He had CTE, but he would fight so often and take so much abuse. If he was fighting now, he obviously would have never gotten the chance to have 100 losses.
No, and they would have took his license
away. He would have been on constant, 6-month medical suspensions for the beatings he took too.
Now, not to go to that type of fighter, but you're right, Anthony. The other intriguing thing about fighters of the past, sometimes you go look up some of the, you go, oh wow, that guy had 10 losses and he's considered great. Yeah, because they fought. Losses didn't mean you didn't want to lose. Don't get me wrong, but a loss was okay. Get me him again, or I'm going to take that guy and I'll go back at him next time. For a lot of the greater fighters, they fought in a weird way. They had the reason why Jake LaMotta and Sugar Ray Robinson fought 4 or 5 times. I always mess that up. It's more than 3. I know that. So that's the only way they could make money. No one wanted to fight Jake LaMotta, and no one wanted to fight Sugar Ray Robinson, so they fought each other, and they made very good money for the day. The reason why we were talking about like a guy like Mickey Walker and Stanley Ketchel, they go move up to fight at heavyweight. You got to remember, I think in that day and age, there was no light. No, was there light heavyweights or not?
Light heavyweight division was officially recognized in 1903.
Okay, so there was, but you made. The money was at heavyweight. So if you had Mickey Walker, the toy bulldog, right? The toy bulldog was his name. He'd go up and fight heavyweights and he got paid. And that, to me, it's still incredible that Mickey Walker could go up and fight and be competitive enough where he's not going to get killed,
Well, and again, that's the size of heavyweight. I mean, look at Canelo. Canelo is a big fighter. He probably walks around at around 200, 205.
I was surprised when they I was surprised when I watched that fight on the Zone when it finally came off at like a gazillion in the morning. I was surprised.
Crusher.
Yeah, and just can we touch base on that real quick? I know you got to. I'm not going to keep you much longer.
No, as long as you want, but
what amazed me about that? Now I thought Canelo was going to win. I thought Kovalev was going to give him a little more trouble just because of the size, and Kovalev was bigger, but Canelo, the weight, he still moved very nice, and he was actually very crisp with his combination. Now, again, great matchmaking on his part and his team's part to sit there and go, we got this guy who's fairly popular. We can make some good money with this, and we can beat him. All we got to worry about if he lands that home run punch, and he never did. And he chopped. When he hit him when he knocked him out, he hit him good. I mean, to me,
if you watch Kovalev's last few fights,
it was
a great choice by his team because he was slowing down
exactly.
And I think that started in probably 2 years ago. So he's kind of been on a gradual decline.
Yeah, but it was a great choice.
Canelo,
I didn't realize he walked around that big.
No, if he fought in the 50s, or 60s even, he probably could go up and be competitive to an extent against heavyweights. Today, no, because you got Wilder, and Joshua 6'6", 6'7", Fury up there too, and they're gonna walk in at 230, 240 or more.
Yeah, did you see the Wilder fight? Did you watch any of that? I caught the highlights because I was doing something. I couldn't watch the fight, so
I didn't because we in Happy Wife, Happy Life category, we had an event. A wine tasting event to do.
Oh, cool! Friends, so that's pretty cool. But let me tell you something. With just watching the highlights, it looked like Ortiz was holding his own, if not winning that fight, in my opinion. And then, again, Wilder he does a lot of things wrong, but I like him. I mean, he does pretty much everything wrong.
He's not a very polished boxer.
No,
but I love one thing he says. He's like, all I need to do is be perfect for 2 seconds.
And he was. Anthony, when he landed that punch to knock out Ortiz last night or early this morning, whenever the fight, when it finally comes out, I was like, did he hit him? Because all you see is him go down. And then you watch the slow-mo, Anthony, his chin goes like this. Like he crushed him. I was like, holy, it was so quick. I call it the Cobra strike. Bam! Done. You're done. You're done. You're done. But yeah, I just want to touch base on that. I'm looking forward to, while we have you on, before we get back to the middleweight set, because what is your analysis of the second Joshua Ruiz fight?
You know what? That's psychological. Joshua is as talented as any heavyweight that fights right now. What I think of him is I don't think he likes fighting that much. You look at a guy like Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury likes to fight.
Yep.
I don't think Joshua is 100% committed to where you need to be mentally as a fighter. And I think he gets frustrated, discouraged, and I could see the second fight going very much the same as the first. I don't know. It's tough. I don't know how he's going to recover from getting stopped.
Let's put them in your. I agree with you with the mental aspect of you have to be into it. It's like you said. It's not fun getting hit. I fooled around with boxing too, like you did. It's not fun getting hit in the nose. It hurts. How would you? The way I would tell Joshua to fight or try to train him and hope he would work behind the jab. I don't want you to engage at all in close. I want you to jab, land that right hand, push him away, tie him up on the inside, walk him back to the ropes. That's the way I would tell him to fight it.
If Joshua is mentally right, he should learn from that first fight. Number one, and it surprised me, Ruiz, for the way he looks, has exceptionally quick
hands. Yep.
And on the inside, his punches come so crisp.
And they're short and yeah, that was.
Yep. You don't want to be there. Joshua is a longer fighter, so I would use the jab both defensively, paw, and then get it in solid,
right,
and then look to catch him coming in with the right hand.
Excellent. I agree totally, because that's another good point. You can use your jab defensively. You're just trying to keep the person out of his rhythm. I throw my jab. He's got to think about that, or feint. I would like to see him feint, come with the right hand. I would just tell him over and over, do not engage on the inside. And when you tie up, you're big and strong. I want you to muscle him. I want you to tie him up, let him know you're there, and walk him back. Make the ref break you, because I think that will frustrate Ruiz. And again, an excellent point. I watched a little bit of him before the fight actually happened, like Ruiz. But when you watch that, I was like, wow, his hands are quick.
Yeah.
You don't expect that from his hands were quick. On the inside.
He might be as quick as any heavyweight going right now.
Yeah. Honestly. And when he got in his punching distance, his hands are very quick. He lets his combinations go. Brad asks a wonderful question. And I guess we'll stick to the middleweights for first. We'll do middleweights. Brad, 62. Who would be your top 3 matchups of all time? We'll stick with middleweights. Again, the middleweight set's coming out this coming week, Black Friday. Correct, Anthony?
Yes. Hopefully. They should be back to the printers Wednesday. If they are, as promised, then the sale link will go up on Friday, yes.
Okay. Hopefully. And that's Sideline Strategy Games. I actually got it right after messing it up like a zillion times. Link provided on the page. I don't know how far you can scroll up in the chat, but it's on the page. Also, please subscribe to our good friend Anthony from Bleacher Bums Gaming. Okay, I'll give you one because they've always talked about it. I have my theory. I fought it on 3 different things, and the winner has always been who I thought would win. Again, doesn't mean anything. They never fought, so we'll never know. It's fun to talk about. Hagler.
We probably agree on what you're going to say.
Hagler Monzon. Hagler to me, and I'm telling you, I've done it. I've done it with title bout championship boxing, and I've done it with another digging deep for ha-has offline. And again, that's different game. I'm just saying it's a sim engine. I'm not saying which is better. I've already told you which game I like the best. It's Glory Days boxing. And I'm looking forward to doing that. I've done it twice with title bout championship boxing and once with digging. Hagler has always wrecked him. I actually see, in my opinion, I think Hagler would break him down and possibly, I think he would stop Monzon. That's the way I see it. I watched enough of Monzon on YouTube. Good fighter, very jab, right hand. I've watched the Nino Benvenuti fight, the first one, over and over again. Benvenuti's winning that fight before he gets knocked out. I'd hate to tell everyone that. That's what you read is not, Benvenuti, in my opinion, was winning that fight. Benvenuti could box, slick boxer, didn't hit very hard. Nowhere near as good as Hagler. Very good fighter, but not. And so when I see that, and I see the other thing, just to touch base, again, my thought process on this, Bernie Briscoe, you can find that or good highlights, or if not, I think it's the whole fight. Oh, Emil Griffith, that's it. Emil Griffith went down to Argentina. He won that fight, in my opinion. It was close, and he didn't get the decision. So you see that. And again, you can't judge how a guy gets up for another fight. So that's another. But I think I like Hagler in that. That's one of my matchups for middleweights.
For middleweight, that would be one of my 3 too. And I think I see Hagler winning decision or late stoppage. But I think what works for Monzon that could give Hagler trouble is if you look at for his time, especially you look, and I'll use a current example, Lomachenko.
Yep.
Loma is able to get angles on his opponent better
Yeah.
than anybody.
Lomachenko's incredible. Yes.
And if you watch Monzon's fights, he also it's not as pronounced, but he's very subtle. He gets angles. He'll shift his feet to get just a better punching angle and
Yep.
take himself out
Nope.
of
I
harm's
agree with
way.
you.
And that would give Hagler some trouble, I think.
And he did have I'm a big Hagler fan, so again, I'm a bit biased.
But the other matchup, second
Yep.
matchup for me would have to be Harry Greb and Mickey Walker. We talked about that earlier. Just
Yes.
two high volume fighters that are just going to stand there.
Made for TV, that fight.
Punches.
Yep.
Totally.
That's a great one. That's a great one. I look forward to you doing that on your channel. I'm sure a lot of people do that. Okay, second one for me, Graziano and LaMotta. I've played that a gazillion times, and LaMotta always wins. And you know what's funny? Graziano's always ahead, and somehow he gets cut. I'm sitting there going, no! I've played it 3 times, twice with Title Bout Championship Boxing, once with the other Digging Deep that went out of business because I had it. And it's eerily similar that the result is Graziano's winning, and Graziano gets cut. LaMotta finishes him on the cut. You know, it's just so
that would be such a bloody, brutal fight. You know?
So that would be my second.
My third, and this might be a surprise, but it would be Ray Robinson against Bernard Hopkins.
Ooh, you know what? That's a very tactical fight there.
Yeah,
because
that's the exact reason.
Hopkins, a great fighter, but you know what? Does not, and again, my faux pas. What I'm going to say, I want everyone to understand. A great fighter, tremendous great fighter, but he slips me all. You know what I mean? It's just not. It's not one of the ones where I go, oh, Hopkins. But yeah, that's you know what? That is surprising, but great matchup. Technically, oh God, who would I give? I would give Ray Robinson the edge there. Slight. I think the punching power to me with Robinson is a little more than Hopkins. Middleweight. Geez, at middleweight though. That's. I give Robinson an edge. I think Robinson could. But see, now I'm going to contradict because Hopkins could adapt to anything.
He could. The one thing he didn't do a lot is he wasn't always an extremely high volume puncher. He'll pick at you 1, 2, 3 punch, and I think he could lose the volume
rounds.
It does make a very interesting tactical fight. I think
that's a good point because I think he would lose close rounds because the other guy Robinson would definitely be more busy. Robinson threw punches as a lot of those middleweights did, regardless of whether you're a slugger or a boxer. And here's a good one. But before we answer that, here. Duran Pryor is absolutely fabulous. That would sell out Mars. You couldn't fit enough people on the planet to watch that fight. That is awesome. But before we talk about
where do you have that one at though? Do you have Leonard or Duran coming up from lightweight to junior welter, or do you wait and have them both go a welter?
I would do that fight if I would do that at Duran didn't stay. I'd have to go. I bet you he did have a couple of junior welter fights, but I don't think he just didn't want to make that weight. Again, if we went back into boxing rec, I guarantee you he probably fought some over the weight, lightweight fights.
He came straight up for the money because that's where that.
Yeah, right.
The lightweight division.
Yeah, and there was no money for him to be made at junior welterweight. And when be honest with you, if you're a boxer, Max, I've said this over and over again. I use Tommy Morrison as the example. Not God rest his soul. Not that he didn't make a lot of money, but you max out every fight. You take the fight that makes the money because you never know what's going to happen to you. Make the money. That's just my opinion. Anthony Joshua, he should have took the. I still say even Deontay Wilder. You should have took the Tyson Fury. Now again, they build it up more and they're going to fight, but. Make the money when you can because one punch, you never know what happens.
Especially a heavyweight.
So I think to make that fight, because we know they're both great, all right? We're not even going to say we got to make them. Everyone knows they're great. We're saying they're great. We know they're great. Pryor really never fought at welter. He kind of did it later after he came out of retirement for substance abuse. I would make it a junior If you could get Pryor down to lightweight, that
I don't think he goes down there.
I have to
think
make a junior
you have to
welter.
do junior welter.
I think that's where your bang for your buck is. I think, again, that fight is, you're talking about two guys who are supremely confident, two guys who'd be taunting each other. The Hawk. Remember I see you can't. No one can. Remember when he used to. Remember against Arguello and he's sitting like, oh my God. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Wow.
That would be an action fight for sure.
That's something I want.
Who wins that fight?
You can't underestimate Aaron Pryor, but I'm going to say this. Pryor might win the first fight, and then Duran, say they fought a trilogy, would win the next two. I think Duran would adapt with whatever he did that Pryor beat him at. See, Pryor was a good boxer too. Okay. Duran hit very hard at lightweight. I think he's going to carry some of that punching power to junior welterweight. I'm going to assume he's into the fight. I'm not going to, because sometimes when Duran lost, like when he lost to Kirkland, I can't remember the guy on ESPN. He lost
on Lang.
On ESPN, I think it was the fight. I'm almost sure. Like he had no interest in the fight, and the guy just beat him. He out-hustled. So Duran wins that fight.
Decision?
Duran. Yeah. I don't think he stops. I think Duran. But again, Pryor gets a bum rap for a couple of things, but the bottle's one, and I shouldn't say a bum rap because you don't say give me the one I mixed. It's water. So something was. I'm not saying Pryor knew about it. I'm just saying it's clear as day. Give me the one that I mixed. My guess is there's some sort of adrenaline in there that would work quickly. I'm not an expert at that stuff. I'm just taking a guess. And he just would wreck Pryor. When he had his defenses, you watch him, he would wreck people. And they weren't bad fighters. He would just wreck them. He was. Now, another one, I know we went off, I haven't picked my third middleweight. Pryor, and they talked about Pryor and Sugar Ray Leonard, but that never materialized. That would have been another interesting one.
And the other one that was going to happen, and if he hadn't lost to Bramble, was going to be Pryor Mancini, and Pryor would have absolutely destroyed Boom Boom as much as I like him.
Oh yeah, I think it would have been action for as long as it lasted, but Boom Boom again. Does he land a big punch and tag? That could happen, but I don't. That's a tough fight for Mancini. That fight didn't take place because Bramble beat Mancini.
Yeah,
in Buffalo, New York, I remember it. He stopped him in the 14th round on cuts. Yeah, that would have been, but that would have been a moneymaker. Pryor, I want to say Pryor was at the fight, and I remember they had said again that was just on. It was out of upstate Buffalo, New York. It was on what we call Channel 20, just an independent channel that would put boxing on because they had to put something on. They put actually really good fights on. They would get it. Who is the South African promoter? They do some Kushner promotions, some Bob Arum promotions. What the hell was that guy's first? Anyway, they would buy some.
Cedric?
Yes, Cedric Kushner. And I want to say he was South African. It sticks in my head. But he did some promotion. Well, he actually was a promoter. But I don't know if he had that fight. What I'm saying is they would buy into fights that they could buy usually. And they were good fights. They put on some good fights that they watched. And that's, my third middleweight. All right, so I went Hagler Monzon, Graziano LaMotta. Again, just because it intrigues me. Mugambi and Tommy Hearns. I want to see it. I'd want to see it. I want to see Mugambi. And now I can think of it. I'm intrigued by the big punchers. You just gave a beautiful not that I wouldn't watch that, and I would watch that. But when I'm thinking like Mugambi and Tommy Hearns, that's going to be short and violent. But Tommy Hearns, you all right, honey?
Patriots won.
Patriots won. Patriots won. More hate to the Patriots. Bring it on. I don't care. Thank you for that update, Nurse Teresa.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm going to go back.
Okay. I'm happy. Not because they won. I'm happy about that. I got to see Nurse Teresa. So, Mugambi, Tommy Hearns would be a fun fight. That would be – I'd have more to go, but that's a fun one for me. I'm getting photobombed by Nurse Teresa. Oh, I see.
No, that could be a fight where Mugabe, a la Iran Barkley, could catch Hearns, and
Yep.
that's all it would take is one shot.
Yep.
And that's
Great analogy. What about Iran Barkley is going to be a fun fighter on your card on your set because he's in so many fun fights.
how about him against Frank Fletcher?
Yes, that's what I'll do. That's definitely what I'll do. That's Frank Fletcher had a very. You know what I found out because I always liked Frank. I knew his mom was a kind of nuts. Remember when she went in the? Do you remember the fight where she went in the ring and tried to hit the person with a shoe? I've seen that a few times in different fights. I went out with her, but with other fighters around the world. I didn't know she actually did some female boxing. I came across that just the other day. I was like, whoa, that's interesting. No wonder she was so intense. And he came from a fighting family. Frank the Animal Fletcher was a guy you saw on TV quite a bit in that brief period when he was on, and he was fun to watch. Never got over the hump. He failed against Wilfred Scipion. That would have got him his title shot against Hagler. Now, Hagler would have killed him. I'm being honest with you. But he would have fought hard. And then
And he only, he was 18-6-1.
very short. He took a lot of punishment. And here's the thing: when you fight like that, very few guys have. He didn't punch really hard. He punched okay, enough to get your attention. He was going to
volume guy.
Yeah. Now there's guys who are Vito Interfermo is one of those guys. Again, amazingly strong guy. I met him. He's just well built, strong guy. But he didn't punch hard. And if you watch his fights, he slapped with the right hand, not all the time, but he just wanted to muscle you and maul you and brawl you. But that's Vito Interfermo or Iran Barkley. Anything with Iran Barkley is going to be fun. So, but those are my three. We have our good friend Eric from Higher Ground Games says, "Hi guys, hi Anthony and Al, playing some football highlights 2052 board game and listening." Well, thank you very much, my friend. That is one of the most incredible fights I've ever witnessed. Brad 62, the first one. You have to remember, people might forget, Barkley beat him twice. Once at middleweight and once at, I want to say it was light heavy by decision.
Light heavy.
Okay, thank you.
But Barkley was looking at his feet when
he winged her. It's exact. Barkley is cut. I want to say both eyes. He's right about to get TKO'd. Hearns is banging him with the jab, right hand. It's just beautiful. And Barkley, like Anthony, our good friend, says, kind of dips, looks at his feet. He wings a right hand. Boom! He clocks. I went, holy cow. That was one of those holy cow moments. That's why you watch boxing. And you know what? He just had Tommy Hearns' number because then he beat him at light heavyweight. He just had his number. It's just one of those. I would have never. That's one of the things. If you told me, I said, no, Tommy Hearns beats him. I'd be like, he's made. If he might hit him, but he's made. He's going to come right at you. And that was a holy cow moment. Yeah. So a lot of fun fights in the middleweight set. So many fun fights.
So let's design our perfect middleweight.
Yes, and then we'll end the stream and we'll go watch. Ron Juckett is on Twitch. So if let's go over there after on Twitch Retro Sports Network, because he's going to be coming up we just started. So all right, and all right. So what do we? You go first.
So for Brad, that was Mustafa Hamsho, the Arab middleweight.
Syrian. Yep, he fought Hagler twice. Yep, tough. Mustafa Hamsho, tough fighter.
So let's go. Let's start with speed.
Speed. Ooh, speed. At middleweight. Well, see, because now we can only use them once because I remember how this game's played. Speed, middleweight.
Tell you what, I think I've got to go with Sugar Ray Robinson.
I'm going to go with Sugar Ray Robinson. I want to try to use him with like a comeback or however, because he go Sugar Ray Robinson, because I think they broke down his frames like how fast he threw a punch and stuff. And I think it was at middleweight when they did that. So yeah, I agree with you, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Okay, so power. I'm gonna go off the board of the top guys we've been talking about. I'm gonna go with Gerald McClellan.
Gerald McClellan, tremendous power. Gerald McClellan, when he fought Nigel Benn, very sad result there. He just had neurological, he got hurt bad in that fight.
And he wasn't a very good person outside of the ring. And obviously, you don't want anyone to get hurt, but
no.
that kind of tempers some of the sympathy he might have earned. But yeah, tremendous puncher, though.
That's a good one. That is a good one, because I was going to go old school just because I like to go old school. I'll stick with that, but I don't disagree with that. Gerald McClellan was a hellacious puncher. He wrecked people. I'm going to go Rocky Graziano. I like Rocky. I want to throw Rocky Graziano in there somewhere. I don't think you go wrong with it. But yeah, that is, you know what? That is off. Not that it's a bad choice. Your choice is excellent, to be honest. Excellent. But it's not something, again, that, yeah, when you say you went off the radar a little bit, yeah. So we have Robinson for speed. And I just let her take my pad, so I don't have Robinson for speed. I have Graziano for power. You have McClellan for power. Can't go wrong in either. McClellan probably yeah, can't go wrong with either. So what's the next one?
Defense.
Ooh. Hagler. I liked Hagler's defense. I always thought Hagler, the way he switched up, befuddled. That could be generalship, but I like Hagler's defense. Let me think of. I mean, we already took Sugar Ray Robinson, but Sugar Ray Robinson did get hit. Hagler only got knocked down. Well, I should before Roldan was the only guy to knock him down, I think. And it was kind of like cupped on the back of the head. I think it was only Roldan. Yeah, there's so many good. You know what? There's so many good defensive fighters here.
It's tough. I'm gonna go with Mike McCallum.
The body snatcher. Yes, another good defense. I'll stick with Hagler, but no, you can't go wrong with either. We didn't even bring up Mike McCallum. Tremendous fighter. There's so many good fighters. Like what you said, there's so many good fighters.
James Toney's in the set too. He was actually
James Toney. The only fight I ever thought he lost at middleweight, and you can watch it, Dave Taberi beat him. He didn't train well. And again, that's part of the thing. Not my fault. Like, if Taberi's not Taberi's fault, the guy didn't train. He had trouble making weight. He used diuretics. That was what that ain't that other guy's fault. That he won that fight. Now, if they fought 10 times after, he killed Dave Taberi. But on that day, on that afternoon, he should have won. He didn't. But yeah, that's the only fight I ever saw him lose at middleweight. He was just tremendous. Michael Nunn was a decent defensive fighter, but again, you have to go off results. He did get knocked out by Dave. So then you sit there and you go, that's another one that there's oh my God, there's so many great matchups.
And I'm gonna use Marvin for my next one, which is footwork, and again that relates to how seamlessly he could transition.
Well, I said that because I didn't want to use him. I'm like, I'm gonna use him here, and so footwork. Okay, so I have speed Robinson, power Graziano, defense Hagler. Now footwork. Well, I mean Mike McCallum, but now that's. I knew it. It's always this, like the other time. It always comes back to bite me in the ass because I kind of said it too, Anthony. I was like, well, that's kind of like ring generalship. I'm like, I should save him, but footwork. You could go with Sugar Ray Leonard. I know he wasn't at middleweight long, but you can't question his footwork. He moved a lot. His mobility. And again, I have not seen enough of. I know there are some great fighters, old school, that I read about, but without really seeing them, and I'm not doubting. I'm gonna go Sugar Ray Leonard. I watched what he did to Hagler, and I know it's a very small set because then he kind of fights at super middleweight, light heavyweight, kind of in between, kind of. I'm going to go Sugar Ray Leonard, and I'm sure if we looked at, I could pick someone else, but I don't think you can go wrong with Sugar Ray Leonard. Small sample set, but he had good rig generalship, and that's footwork to me. So
I agree. And the last one I think we used for the heavyweights was Hart.
Oh, God, so many. Again, I met this pugilist. He's actually really fun to talk to. There's a lot of fighters. Anyone who steps in, they're the ones who go. There's a lot of great heart fighters.
Vito, aren't you?
I'm going Vito. And again, I'm going. I met him. He's nice, and he's a really nice guy. And you can't say he didn't have heart. I mean, that guy.
Can't argue with that at all.
And
I'm going to go with Mickey Walker for my choice.
Tremendous. And there's so many other fighters that, but I mean, so many fight. I mean, I think Michael Watson, tremendous heart. A lot of fight, but just Vito, just the way you had to,
you had to kill Vito.
You had to kill him. I mean, Mustafa Hancho was the same way. Again, tremendous. I met Vito. He's nice. I always liked him. He was on TV. I met when you meet someone, I'm like, oh, I hope he's a nice. And it was at a boxing. I used to go a lot of boxing functions for charity, and I'm like, oh, I hope he's a nice guy. Just because you meet and you sit there and the guy he's having a beer. You want a beer? No, I'm good, thank you. And you just talk to him, because at that time it wasn't as formal. You could just walk up and just talk to them. And later on, it's a reason why it went away. It wasn't as fun anymore. They had to wait in line. It's not fun, But yeah, Vito. So all right. So let's see if I remember right, because Nurse Teresa took my pad when I wrote something down. My dad never remembers the channels, so I was like, the football games on 822. God bless my dad. So the first thing we had was speed, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I went Robinson. And we both went Robinson.
We both went Robinson, yeah.
Then the next thing was defense. I went Hagler, and then I realized I'm going to regret that one because I could use him somewhere else. And you went Mike McCullum.
Yeah.
Then power, I think I might have got power and speed mixed. I mean, power and defense might have swapped. I went Graziano. You went McClellan, Gerald McClellan, both. Then I just went with. Then we had ring footwork. I went with, because I used Hagler, and I kind of said the whole switch up thing. That's kind of like, I'm going to regret this. I used Sugar Ray Leonard, small sample size, but I used that. You used for Hagler, and that's when I said I kiboshed myself. And then for heart, I used Vito Anafirmo. You used Mickey Walker, and you can't go wrong with the middleweight we just built. You just can't.
You really can't. And honestly, if you look at all those traits, probably the closest to a perfect fighter in any weight division is Marvin Hagler. I think so.
Absolutely. Marvin Hagler was so good. Again, I'm a Vito Anafirmo fan. I love you, Vito. I've watched that fight. I watched that live when I was a kid. I've watched it over and over again because I enjoy watching it. God bless him, he went that 15 rounds because no one thought he was going to go 15 rounds. He didn't win the fight. I mean, it was a draw. It was a drop. I mean, Hagler won the fight.
He gave him trouble, and I think that people expected Hagler to
kill him. Yeah, and he didn't. He didn't walk.
It was almost like a sympathy draw. I mean, it was a close fight. He gave him problems.
Yeah, and so I think, you know what? That's a great point, Anthony, when you say that the most complete fighter, because Hagler boxed. He could box you to death. He could knock the crap out of you with either hand, and his movement was so smooth. It's just tremendous. People, you know why people didn't box with Hagler? You weren't going to outbox him. It's very simple. You weren't going to outbox him. That's why the guys.
The only time that really honestly happened was against Monroe.
Early in his career, and he beat him in is that one of the rematches he got?
He beat both Monroe and Boogaloo Watson in the rematch.
Yep. So, and again, and those were his only two losses until Sugar Ray Leonard. We could do a whole show on the Sugar Ray Leonard. I'll tell you what went wrong there. I've watched it over and over again. I still think Hagler won close, but Leonard, again, I'm biased, so it's tough for me to say Hagler lost. But what Leonard did very well, and then there's other things before the fight that Hagler wanted the fight so bad, he had his camp agree to a lot of things. The ring size, 12 rounds, the gloves, everything. Give it to him. Just get this guy in the ring. I just want to knock the crap out of him. Because Hagler, when he turned pro, I think he made $50 when he turned pro. And that was his driving thing. I mean, I got, $50. $50 I made to turn pro. And Leonard, coming out of the Olympics, made a lot of money, signed a big contract. And that was always his, when they were fighting. What I didn't like about that, and Leonard fought a beautiful, Leonard did something very, I'll say two things. I never seen Hagler miss so many punches in my life. One, he was getting old. So Leonard got him at the right time. And Leonard got himself in tremendous shape and did a beautiful job. And Leonard, at the end of those rounds, he flurried like a madman in a lot of those rounds. And he stole rounds. So,
Leonard is a very smart fighter.
Absolutely. We could have went, if we had tactician, I probably would take Sugar Ray Leonard. Like if there was some sort of a because you're right. He knew his corner, but even him, he knew, like, because he would, this is the way I'm going to fight this guy. Leonard is a tremendous fighter. But I think some of that stuff, that loss comes into what they agreed to, not 15 rounds, when they could have still got 15 rounds at the time. They said, yeah, we'll do the 12. The ring, not what they want. Even the ring mat, not just the size of the ring mat. And again, I can't remember. There's a name of each mat. One is more for a guy who's going to set down in his punches. And the other one is, to move more. Everything. He just wanted, they gave up everything to get that fight. Again, Leonard won the fight on the judges' scorecards. I would have liked to have seen if it was 15. Would he have wore him down? But maybe not. Maybe Leonard just does the same thing.
You made a great point about Leonard, how he flurries at the end of rounds. He in his rematch against Hearns beat him in that fight too.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God. That's one of the biggest screw jobs. Okay, Anthony, before we leave, this is wow. What, you want to see me get riled up? Okay, you'll see me get riled up. Hearns knocked him down not once, but twice in that fight. I am positive. I have the fight. You can fight. He dropped him twice. Okay. Those are 10-8 rounds. Leonard hurt Hearns twice in that fight. Those are not 10-8 rounds, my friend. That's unheard of. That's very rarely, unless you really beat they gave Leonard 2 10-8 rounds for hurting Tommy Hearns when Hearns dropped him twice and got 10. Hearns won that fight. That is the biggest screw job ever. I think, what was that, a draw? I think they called it a draw. That was the biggest screw job on the face of the earth. One of the many in boxing. Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. I had blacked that out of my mind. Now I'm all aggravated again. I love Tommy Hearns. Tommy Hearns, I tell you.
If Tommy Hearns honestly had a chin, he would probably be one of the
there's another guy who could box and punch and do everything, and he entertains you. Now, again, there are times you can go down when he blitzed Roberto Duran. That was wow. And before that, he outboxed Wilfred Benitez. That's when he won the
welterweight,
junior. The junior middleweight.
Junior middleweight.
Yeah. So he could do it all, but again, it's this, and it only really comes into play against upper echelon fighters. Because Barkley's no slouch. I mean, I can't say he's upper, but Barkley was another tough.
That was the definition of lucky punch, though.
Oh yeah, when Anthony says he literally looked at his shoes and winged one, he literally looked at his shoe, like just ducked his head and winged, and that punch hit him on the chin. So, wow. So before we leave, Anthony, because I'm keeping you way too long. Before we leave, Glory Days Boxing middleweight set coming out. Tell us again. I know, just for anyone who's going to catch the end of this.
Target on sale date will be the Friday after Thanksgiving. Again, the printer's committed to getting the cards back to me Wednesday if I met my deadline, which I did. So, and barring some disaster, they'll be on sale Friday, this coming Friday.
Excellent. Again, this is Anthony, Bleacher Bums Gaming. Please subscribe to our good friend Anthony and check out. Actually, if you're a boxing fan, you cannot go wrong with the purchase of Glory Days Boxing. This fabulous game. These are the cards. They're absolutely. I'm going to take one card out. You can't knock these cards out. These cards have a chin of steel. Listen. Beautiful card stock. Majority of the results are on the card. And that's Ray Boom Boom Mancini, who I can't get to win. Not through any fault. It's just the breaks don't go with him. Then you have this is the boxer game board, we'll call it. And again, good card stock. And you have some results here. And I know I apologize, so you have to look at this once in a while. And then you have one of my favorite things. This is the event chart. And if you roll a certain number, which would be to go to the event chart, is a 99. You roll a 99, you go to the event chart. And it's a beautiful game. You can now, the middleweight set will be out on Friday, knock on wood. And you have the lightweight set, tremendous. And there's a list of fighters that you can download or look at. I want to say it is. You can get that on Sideline Strategy because I downloaded the fighters. And he tells you who's a good, in case you don't know about some of the fighters, who's a good fighter, who's a trial horse. This is my terminology, not necessarily terminology on the sheet. So right now, and come Friday, you'll be able to get the heavyweight set, which was the first set. And I'm going to let him tell you a little more about the game. Like if you initially purchase, I'll let him, Anthony. So you have heavyweight, lightweight, and now the middleweights are coming out. So much fun. So much fun. And it doesn't matter if you play other boxing games. And if I like to try different games. I like to play different games. I really do love Glory Days Boxing. Very tremendous. Anything you'd like to add to your great game? The beautiful game, as I put it.
No, I just appreciate the support, Al, and as always representing the game on the channel. And
thank you.
And really appreciate the support from the community too. I've gotten, really, really positive feedback. And it, again, this was a game I started designing just because it was something I wanted to play. And the fact that other people find it enjoyable is just, humbling and very satisfying as well. So again, just appreciate everyone who has given feedback, purchased the game, and continues to support it. And we'll try and put together something for people who haven't bought the initial game. If they purchase the initial game, the bundle on Friday, I'll work something with Joe to discount that a little bit. And that would be the initial game, which includes the heavyweights and then the lightweight and middleweight bundle as well. So we'll come up with something by the time that releases.
That is awesome. If you're a boxing fan and you check that bundle out, one more thing. The price point without any type of sale or discount is unbelievable. Anthony, for a PDF, how much is a PDF?
Game PDF is $8 and the fighter sets are $6.
Unbelievable. So if you just got the PDF, that's 8 and 6. I do my math. That's $14.
And I actually wanted to throw something in there, Al.
Yes, sir.
People, the PDF and the print format obviously are very different. The PDF for files, you just cut down lines. If somebody orders a PDF and they have a professional printer by their house or the means, I can actually, once they show that they've ordered the PDF set, I'd be willing to email them the actual print format for the fighters that go to my printer.
That is tremendous,
and
Anthony.
That comes on 11 by 17, and it's got different grids and whatnot. Yep. But if you want to take that and have it professionally cut and save a little bit of money there, I'd be willing to do that too.
That's awesome. Again, I get both because I like to put. I'm working that little spreadsheet. I actually use that for everything, even if I'm rolling, because it just keeps I don't want to make any mistakes. I have the formula set up, but I get both because I just like it. I like to sit there and go put it up on my spreadsheet. I think it plays well for the YouTube community, that they can see it a different way. I try to, because maybe some people can't. I know, because you can only get the printed set in the United States of America, correct?
Correct.
Right. So I know you have fans outside the United States of America, and I was just trying to show them you can still have a lot of fun getting the PDFs. And I think pretty soon I'm just going to email you that sheet and you can tweak it if you have someone who knows how to put formula. They're not working. I try to mimic a wrestling game that's free on that Field of Replay site. It's not working the way I thought it was going to work, but I'll just send that to you. I just wanted my friend to take one more look at, maybe another friend, to see if we can tweak it to get formulas somehow in there. You would still have to punch in stuff for the fighter, each fighter, but when you hit a button, it would. But you know what? I think the spreadsheet would work nice if someone is getting the PDF and you could just put it up there the way it's set up. it automatically deducts from the stamina and things like that. So, and keeps yourself anyway. But yeah, thank you for creating such a wonderful game, Anthony. And I will shut up, and you can talk about whatever you want for however long you want now, as we will go off the air.
No, again, just appreciate the support. And one thing I have a baseball game. Obviously, you've seen the prototype of that. I've kind of reconsidered that, so I'm playing with it, and I like the interaction with contact on that. But I'm also doing a version that I want to get to play a little faster, that involves still batter pitcher interaction, but only takes one roll to resolve instead of two.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing that's going to be, it's probably going to be the next game I release after I get a few more sets of boxers out, is going to be Glory Days college football.
Oh, that's a surprise. Oh, I thought you were going wrestling there for a second. oh my God. That's awesome. Wow. Can I ask you a quick question on that? Can I ask you a quick question? How are you doing going to do sets with that? Like, are you doing a year? Are you doing great teams, if I may, or do you not know? Or what team have you worked on? Let's leave it at that. What team
I'm still really getting the design the way I want it. I have in my mind and actually documented the formulas and
excellent
everything for the mechanics. That part's set. Now it's just tweaking and maybe adding, subtracting things to make the game flow.
That is, everyone loves to play football, and even on PC it takes some time. And again,
I'll give you one thing I'm looking at. For timing, because you're right. That's one of the things, is checking, 30 seconds and blah, blah, blah. So there's two things I'm looking at for the mechanics of the football game. One would be to time it based on drives.
Okay.
So however many drives a team has during a game.
Yep.
And then there'd be a additional opportunity at the end of the first half and end of the game, if one team is within a single score, be that 8 points or 3, whatever, they would get an additional drive.
That's awesome.
That simulates 2-minute hurry up, try and get down tie. The other thing I'm looking at, which I think I might go with, I know you're not a fast action card guy.
No, I've come around a little bit on that. I've watched other things. I played another game I've already talked about. I'm not going to mention because we're talking Glory Days Boxing, but
well, you've seen the fast action cards for Glory Days Boxing. They'd be able to work. I'd be able to incorporate that exact same design into the football, because there's also a red-blue component where you get defensive and offensive stars for the type of play called. So if I went that route, which I think I will, is you'd be able to use the fast action cards. It would be total number of average plays per team or per game per team, and then add that up, divide by 4, and that's how many fast action cards you would get per quarter to simulate the number of plays. And then you get control off of that, then roll dice for the results.
Brad asked real quick, and then, my God, I want to talk to you about Ghislaine, because it's very interesting. You chose, you don't see many college football.
That's why I chose that.
Great choice, because you so many fun matchups there. Brad, team charts like bull bound. Just a quick question from Brad. You don't have to get into it if you don't want to. Just curious.
No problem there. Yep. Similar, Brad. The mechanics ultimately are different, and I'll just give you a brief overview. The yardage is all on a single team chart, very similar to bull bound.
Yeah.
There's a defensive factor averaged into, but the way that would work is you roll or use the fast action card for the red blue, basically who gets the jump or the control, offense or defense. So you'd have a standard result if the dice rolls were tied, a defensive advantage if the defensive stars were higher, like in Glory Days Boxing, and an offensive advantage if the offensive stars were higher. So it would be off a chart. There'd be different columns based on who has the upper hand for that play. And then after the offensive roll, there's also a potential defensive adjustment, which could change play results to sack, interception, negative yards, or if you're like a terrible run defense, you could give the other team what I'm calling a pop play, which is basically a big play, a big running play.
Well, that's going to be really, that's really that. Oh man, that's going to be awesome. And I kind of hope you do some older teams too, because that's gonna be a lot of fun.
I think initially I'll do the most current college.
Yeah, I was just going to
season,
say that you kind
and
of
definitely.
because if you're selling a game, I'm just going to tell you, you got to have the current one out because that's what people, you got to have that. I was just going to say, you got to have the current. Would you think you would do like top 20 kind of thing, or?
No, each team set would be all 128.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
That
teams,
is
yeah.
awesome. Wow, that is
And
awesome.
even past seasons, I would rate as long as there's stats.
I could play a crappy UMass team over and over again. Awesome.
You could.
BYU.
Who lost to my BYU?
I almost
team,
sent you an email going before the game. We're gonna kick your. No, we're not. It's gonna be horrible. It was
49-0 at the half.
I'm sitting there. My dad and I were watching. I go, they picked up a first down there. That's pretty good. It's horrible. UMass is a horrible football team. Oh, that's awesome, Anthony. Wow. I look forward. I fool around and still with my little football project. I change it, but I know how hard it is to rate stuff. Actually, the rating, because I mimic Fran Tarkenton, I can bang out teams real quick with using Fran Tarkenton, not the way I'm trying to make a game, but it's still, it's wow. And especially, so another quick question. The card's going to be bigger than this, you would say?
Yeah, I'll be doing the designs of the team charts also on 11x17, and it'll be 2 teams per sheet. So that'll go to the printer and they'll just cut those in half. So
gotcha. So one sheet will have one team, like a team per sheet, your skilled players, your whatever is going to be on that sheet will be on the one. That's great.
On one single chart. Yeah.
That's what chart. Sorry. That way you're not, I'll tell you the one thing not to knock Strat football. I don't own it, but I played it when I was a kid against my friends and stuff. They own it. You're moving everything around. And I think a lot of these games now, when you get older, you play solo. Not that you always do, but you want something that, would you say you can play that solo? I mean, you can play your boxing and baseball games solo. So
yeah, no, I'll have a mechanic for that where you determine the play based on the team tendencies by a 1d20 roll.
Excellent.
And and then the other thing with that is, football games most of them take over an hour to play, some like an hour and a half or more. And I want to try and get a game that can be played in 45, 50 minutes too. So that's another result. And again, all the results coming off the team charts.
That's awesome. Well, Anthony, I've kept you way too long. The awesome information at the end. Check out Glory Days Boxing. Middleweight set comes out, hopefully, knock on wood, Friday, I'm going to say Friday. Just check it out.
And you know what? I think even if the printer doesn't make the Wednesday deadline, which he promised, we'll still at least put it up for pre-sale Friday if they're not back.
Awesome.
So either way.
And can you get the PDF right away on Friday?
Yeah, PDF will be available Friday.
Great. I'll be doing that. Awesome sauce. So that's on.
You did testing for me, so you get a free PDF.
Thank you, my friend. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I will be getting, as I will be buying these beautiful cards. I caught long story. My dad has health issues, so someone's always home with my dad, right? So my sister's like, did it come yet? Did the mail come yet? Did I get my stuff? She's like, no, you didn't get your game yet. I want it. Great stuff. Again, that's on Sideline Strategy Games. We can buy Payoff Pitch. So that's Glory Days Boxing. Middleweight set Friday, this coming Friday. Out already, heavyweight and lightweight set. Before we leave, the next set, is it going to be the second heavyweight set? Is it going to be another welterweight? I think you said welterweight.
I think welterweight will be next, and then it will either be bantamweight or heavyweight set.
Awesome. Anthony, thank you very much, my friend. I'd like to thank everyone who joined us in the chat. I'm not going to go through all the names. We got you coming in. I would want to, but we ran really late. I appreciate Anthony for the time. God bless you, my friend. God bless everyone in the chat. Health and happiness. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye. And make sure, Glory Days Boxing, check it out. Sideline Strategies, middleweight set, Sideline Strategy Games. Middleweight set comes out Friday. Heavyweights and lightweights are already out. Peace. Love you all.